That was awesome. I
Heyo.
danced to that. I was on my feet,
I did.
and
You were okay.
yeah, yeah,
I did
I
a
got
little
up.
hand like
I had to stand
hand
up.
dance. Yeah.
I shake the wiggles out, and I did a little jig, and
I
now I
was
feel great.
nice. Yeah. I was like, I'm so scared to move to mess up my setup. So I was like, just sat on my chair and just did like a quick hand dance. But yeah,
There's
it
modes
definitely
of
made me want to go.
expression, and they're all good.
Yes. Yeah. They're all good. Pick, pick your movement and go
Yeah,
with it. Yeah.
that's right.
But yeah, good to see you all. I mean, good to be with you all again. We're
Yep,
back for a new episode.
here we
Um,
are. We're
and
back.
and perhaps before we get too sidetracked, we should just start off with updates this
Yes,
time.
and
And
Karan has a juicy one that he's gonna serve up to
a
us about
spicy
his.
salsa one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
speaking of salsa, I want to hear all about Cabo,
yeah.
Mexico.
I so that's I was in Cabo for 5 days. It was my first family vacation with my kid, and everything was great. Like traveling there, every coming back, all was good. And we went to Cabo San Lucas in Baja California Sur, which is almost at the southern tip of the little kind of like
Hmm.
peninsula that is on the left of Mexico. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely
By
beautiful.
the
Great
Gulf of
experience.
America.
By the cup of it was no. That's the other side. That's the other
Oh, yeah, oh,
side.
okay. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. We were on the western coast of things. So
Okay.
this is like if you draw a straight line down from California, you will go into like Baja California, which is the Mexican state, and then we were in Baja California Sur, which I think is south. I'm not sure if those are two separate states. Don't ask me about Mexican geography. I don't want to offend the good people of Mexico there, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind. The people I met were so good natured and so
That's cool.
welcoming. It was really nice. But I have to say, like we went to a resort, so you know, I'm sure we met like probably like the hospitality side of Mexico. So I don't want to speak about the rest of Mexico, but whoever we met, like they were really really nice,
By the way,
very
as a
friendly.
quick reminder, just for context for the listeners, this was from a couple weeks ago. So this basically, Curran and I speaking right now. He did just get back from Cabo, like what, yesterday or today?
Yesterday, last night.
So he just got back yesterday, but you're going to be hearing this episode possibly a couple weeks from now. Just wanted to throw that in just for context.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, for sure. But yeah, Cabo was just great. It was it kind of reminded the geography reminded me of Los Angeles a lot. It was like I think it's because I think it's basically kind of like an extension of the Sonora Desert. So like the geography is the same, kind of like dry hills, shrubs, cactus
Wow.
everywhere.
So a
Um,
lot of character to the landscape, it
a
sounds
lot of
like.
characters to the
Texture.
landscape. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
great. And except you're pretty much bang on the beach, so like you have this immense Pacific Ocean right there. So you
Yeah.
have beautiful beaches, rocky beaches, but beautiful beaches full of wildlife. That was my favorite part. I just saw so much wildlife out there. I saw like little crabs on the rocks. I saw like big fish.
Oh, I love that.
I saw a dolphin. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's always
Did
nice
you
to see dolphin.
swim in the ocean?
A little bit. They don't encourage it too much because they say the waves are really strong. It can like pull you straight back out if you're
Oh
not
my
too careful.
gosh.
Plus the beaches, the little bit of like the first, I forget the technical term, but like the first part of the ocean, which kind of like is close to the beach, is very rocky. Like there's a lot of submerged rocks over there. So what most people do is they actually take boats out a little bit out into the ocean where it's calmer, and that's where they fish and swim. Yeah,
Wow.
it's apparently where we were. This wasn't the right time, but if you go to Cabo between November and like April, February being the best time, you can actually see whales right from your hotel room, because which if it's facing the
Wow.
ocean, because they come there to give birth in those warm waters. and then they before they
That's
go back up
awesome.
north. Yeah, yeah. It's
But
like
you didn't see a whale?
no, I didn't see
Okay.
whales. There apparently humpback whales come there. We only saw dolphin, which I'll take any day. I would rather take like seeing something rather than nothing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
That sounds gorgeous.
yeah.
Sounds
And
like a beautiful beach.
it's a beautiful beach. It was a really nice resort too. It was one of those like resorts that has like a private beach. And before you start thinking, oh my god, now you must have spent a lot of money. No, it was if you actually go to like these resorts are like catered to tourists. So you know you will see
Hmm.
tourists from all over the world, and if you go to like Red Tag or a couple of other websites, Expedia even, they offer like all-inclusive packages where you pay a fixed sum of money, and in that amount you get your flight tickets, you get a resort stay, and you get all your food and alcohol in the resort comped for you. So like you know it's takes a lot of guesswork out of travel, and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to pay this money, and that's it, and not think about anything else. So yeah, that's what we did, and yeah, no regrets. It was a great time.
That sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sounds like you got
and
a lot of bang for your buck.
yeah, yeah. May was it's hot down there right now. It was like
Oh really?
32 degrees
Celsius?
centigrade with Celsius,
I
which I
wonder
think
what
in
the.
Fahrenheit is like I want to say like 890 or something.
Oh wow.
I can look it up, but yeah, it was really hot. Um, Definitely need your sunscreen, and yeah, it's the thing is right now there's not many people over there, so it's kind of like a slightly off season. Most people go in the winter because a lot of Americans and Canadians go down there.
Yeah, 32 degrees Celsius is 89.6 degrees
Oh, so
Fahrenheit.
close.
You were dead on. Yeah, you were basically right on there.
Yeah,
That's really good. Yeah, that's pretty hot. I mean, but the nice thing is you're by the ocean,
yeah,
which kind
yeah.
of gives you that cooling ocean breeze, I would imagine,
Oh, yeah,
to make it
yeah,
feel cooler. So
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
And the resort like was really nice, and it had a pool, and by the pool there were these like rocks that they had set up, and in these rocks there were iguanas. There were a ton of
What?
iguanas that lived there. So you would be swimming in the pool and look up and see this iguana just basking on a rock, like doing his little head bob to get all
Wow.
his sun in. It was my favorite part. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you're saying that wait, so these rocks were they in like a courtyard?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was in like a courtyard, like this. You know, the way the resort was designed. It was kind of like designed to be like incorporate nature, existing nature with the kind of like man-made side of it.
Oh,
So
that sounds
they left
great.
some of the rocks intact. So yeah, you would see like iguanas just like pop out. You'd be swimming and this giant pelican just like landed in the pool. Um,
Whoa. Yeah, that really is incorporating nature. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and this is the
Don't pop
craziest
my
part.
raft.
Yeah, no problem. But like,
Pop my water wings.
yeah. So you get food by the pool. So like you can have your burgers and fries there. And but there's a lot of seagulls who hang out by the
Oh
pool
boy.
to steal your fries, and they're pretty gutsy and they're pretty clever. So to keep the seagulls away, what they do is they hire a guy to come in with his eagle,
What?
and
What?
the eagle comes in. It's a trained eagle. He comes in. This
A
guy, this
bald
eagle
eagle?
handler. I
A
don't know. I don't
white
think it's a
head?
bald eagle. I don't think it's
Oh.
a bald eagle. It could also be a hawk.
I
But
guess it's okay.
yeah,
Sorry, I guess it's probably not a bald eagle. I
yeah.
mean, maybe that would be, or who knows? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Cue,
That would
cue,
be pretty
the-
intense.
Cue the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
For the seagulls shall flock.
Sweet land of liberty. No. Yeah.
Hey,
So
who's
it
that playing God Save the Queen? Get out of here.
was.
God save the gulls
God save the
from this
girls. Yeah.
bald eagle's
Yeah.
sharp gaze.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so a guy they hired a guy to bring an eagle or a hawk?
Yeah, he's a regular thing. I saw him like two or three times. He would just, it's not like the eagle would like hunt them, but he would, as soon as the eagle would come and fly around a bit, all the gulls and all would disappear because they're like,
Wow.
it's like bringing in the bird police. You know, like
Wow.
it like gets all the little like, scavenger guys out of there. Yeah. So I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was like, that's a fun, like, natural way to deal with like your problem. Just bring in a goddamn trained hawk to like take care of it.
Wow. And
Yeah,
so that guy, he would just come in and bust up that party.
yeah. Like, yeah, one day we were like, wow, where are all the girls today?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, there's Terrence.
There's the hawk.
There's our favorite eagle.
Yeah,
He scared
yeah,
him off.
scared him off. Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
it's like, for me, what tripped me out about Mexico is like, yeah, I was on this resort, and but I was like, I'm for me, what tripped me out, I was like, I'm in a place that has a lot of history. Like, it's like, it has like, settlers from here that go way back. So I was reading a lot about like the Aztecs, their civilization that was
Oh,
here.
cool.
And what tripped me out was like, I would see like, somebody like, the local staff there working, and I was like, this guy, he looks like, some of them, they look straight out of like being extras on like Apocalypto, or like, I know Apocalypto is South America, but straight out of like someone, who could be an extra on like a, like a film about Mayans or Aztecs. They have those features that kind of like look like, something that Quetzalcoatl would have. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Quetzalcoatl is an Incan, but never mind. I think Montezuma, maybe. But one, I'm
Montezuma.
sorry, I apologize if I'm butchering this, but you get my drift. Like, they look very like, much like they could be part of like that civilization, and they're unchanged from that time, except now they're working
Wow.
at a resort. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. That, I bet like those people who had those kingdoms and empires at that time never imagined that it would one day become this, right? But
Seriously.
yeah.
And but it sounds like you say that they were very like nicely like mannered, like they were kind of nice. Were they
Oh
kind to
yeah.
you?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're. I mean, like, their resort stuff. They have to be, but even besides that,
I
you
guess
you
that's
could tell
sort of
like it
true.
wasn't
Yeah.
like they weren't just trying to like force the act. Like, they were genuinely, very very A plus on their hospitality. Like, they
That's
were,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, that's enticing for sure. I mean,
Hmm.
when Zashi and I went to Hawaii, they were
Yeah.
really rude to us everywhere we went, and
Oh geez.
we tried to be. I mean, Hawaii is gorgeous, but and they know it because their tourism is so
Mm,
strong. It's like I think they know they don't have to try too hard to get
right.
people to
Right.
come. But it's like, yeah, they were really rude to us everywhere we went, and we didn't really. I mean, you know me and you know us. Like we're
Yeah.
not loudmouth, annoying,
No. No.
typical American mainlanders, or whatever that stereotype would be. Like we don't really fit that. So it's kind of annoying because when I would tell that to people who loved going to Hawaii, they would always say, "Well, you just gotta, be cool and just be respectful." It's like, motherfucker, we were.
It's like, what do you think I
We're
was doing
always
there?
cool and respectful. What are you implying? What do you think I was doing? Like, fucking running around like a pterodactyl,
Yeah.
flapping my arms and knocking their fruit stands over? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
geez,
Yeah. Like.
shouting at the top of my lungs when I order sushi. I'll have the mackerel. It's like, give me 2 rolls of tuna, stat. It's like, I don't have to do that. I was normal, but they were
Yeah.
still rude. So, yeah, anyway, but not to sidetrack it. But it sounds like in Cabo, alternatively, they were quite nice and friendly and respectful.
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
breath of fresh air.
Well, the thing is, and I know that Mexico, there are areas of Mexico that your safety is questionable, but this is something like, uh, we went there because we have friends here from Zoe's daycare who go to Mexico regularly, and one of them is actually a tour guide. So he knows, he's very very connected with the tourism industry, and he says like these resort towns like Puerto Vallarta, Cabo, Cancun, like a lot of the cartels actually have a stake in these resorts. So they
Oh
make
boy.
sure that it is safe there. Like, they make sure whatever things that they do, it stays out of these resort areas, because they know
Interesting.
that people will get spooked if like they come and start, you know, like doing shady stuff out there. So
It's like
in
keep your
fact,
friends close and your enemies closer.
yeah, yeah,
Kind of.
it's like, yeah, they work with the problem over there. But
Wow.
yeah, and in fact, when before I went to Cabo, I was reading up about like the experiences over there. And there was this guy, American, and he's like, every time I travel to Cabo, I love to carry some marijuana with me because, like, it's such a fun place to get high. And he's like, but this time I couldn't because my wife didn't let me. And he's like, I couldn't get it. And of course, my mother-in-law booked us in one of the swankiest resorts in Cabo where the cartels have, pretty much run it. So they make sure that none of the local weed sellers even come close to it. So he's like, I couldn't buy any weed anywhere.
So it's like if you want to get weed,
Yeah.
just make sure you fly under the cartel's radar. Like, don't stay in one of those, clean, safe resorts that the cartel run.
Yeah.
Then you won't be allowed to have any fun. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Talk about counterintuitive.
I know, it tripped me out. I was like, what? That's so nuts.
So weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
That's wild.
it's wild, but that's the dynamic. Like, it's like a dynamic out there, like, I mean, listen, like, before you get all judgy about Mexico, every country has a mafia to it, and every country is,
Yeah.
whether you like to think of it or not, your elected officials may or may not be involved with the mafia in some form.
Yeah.
It's no longer like just like Mexico that has like cartels. Like, I can tell you for a fact India has a mafia. I can tell you for a fact that
Wow.
the US has a mafia. It exists.
Do you think
I mean,
India's mafia has like guys who look like those henchmen that Rajni Khan was beating up and defeating in those clips?
oh yeah,
They probably do.
100%. Like when you
A knife clenched between their teeth, coming in with fists raised.
yeah, the thing is, like, the Indian mafia does exist. They do, like, you know they do things like they're involved in extortion. They're involved in like drug trafficking, of arms trafficking and stuff like that. But they usually, there very rarely does like someone who's not involved with the mafia ever get targeted by them. Like, they don't target like civilians in like their beef or whatever, their territorial disputes. So like usually, like, if you have no ties to the mafia or are not doing anything that kind of like irks them,
yeah.
they won't come near you.
And I think it's like very dangerous to take any favors from them
Oh yeah.
because then you're sort of indebted to them, right?
Yeah, but we do have cases like in the past where they try to extort money out of like these really rich, famous movie producers. Producer refused, and
In Mexico
yeah.
or just
No,
in
no,
Hollywood?
in India, in
Oh,
India. Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
in Bollywood.
In
Yeah.
Bollywood, yeah, and those people,
Whoa.
those producers got killed. Like they were
my
made.
gosh.
Yeah, so like
That sounds like the way the film and music industry was in America in like the, I don't know, like, I just 40s or 50s, whenever it would have been. I think there was more mafia activity and crime in the music industry back in the day.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like there's,
wild.
I mean, I don't know how true it is, but isn't there that famous scene in The Godfather, like pretty much in the very beginning, where, like that, an actor goes to like Don Corleone and says, "I want to be in this movie, but the producer won't hire me," so they send out like Robert Duvall's character goes to like Tom. Yeah, he goes to see him, and that guy says pretty much like, "You can't intimidate me. Like, you know who I am. I'm one of the best producers, biggest producers in this country. Like, I'm not scared of you guys." And then the next scene is, spoiler alert if you haven't seen The Godfather.
Yeah.
They pretty much,
Was that the horse head?
yeah, the horse scene. Yeah,
The horse
Yeah.
head in his bed.
They put a horse head in his
Wow.
bed. It says like prize stallion.
That's
or
a
something.
crazy moment.
Yeah. It's like, bro, what kind of pills are you on that you could slept through them putting a horse head on your goddamn bed? Like, what?
Yeah, really.
What,
Man,
what
on those nights
combination
when
of
I can't
sex-
sleep, those are the pills I want.
Those are the
Just
kind of
knock
pills.
me right out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He slept through like them literally sneaking an entire horse head onto
But
your
did he
bed.
like? Was it? I don't remember. Did he wake up the next morning and the
Yeah,
horse
yeah,
head
yeah,
was
yeah.
just chilling in the bed next to him?
Yeah, yeah, like the
So,
way it
oh
works is
God.
like the scene is like it opens with a shot close to him, close on him on the
Woo!
bed, and then it like zooms out and where he like gets up, he yawns and he like wakes up and then he like feels something and he throws the covers off and like his hands are covered in blood and you see just like the top of the horse. Yeah,
That's
it's, like,
horrifying.
it's horrifying.
Damn.
Yeah,
But
yes.
whew, I'm glad that none of that was going on at your hotel. But it sounds like things were actually quite safe there
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
really glad I didn't wake up to like a iguana head in my bed.
The
Oh
head
my
of a rock
goodness.
iguana was.
Yeah.
So those iguanas on the rocks, do they roam free? Like they're not. There's not like a fence around it.
No, no, no.
So they're wild.
They're wild. You
That's
don't see
awesome.
them like this. They're pretty like they're not skittish. Like I walked pretty close to
Yeah,
one, and he didn't really give a toss. He was just like, yeah,
yeah,
whatever, bro. Like just
yeah.
let me be.
They're probably pretty
But
used to people at that
I think
point.
so, yeah. But he didn't walk. We never saw one walking on like a paved path or something. They always were on the rocks or between the rocks, and yeah, like they just hang out. They're very chill. There was a really big one by the resort restaurant whose name is Poncho. Apparently, that's what the locals told me. They were like, "Yeah, that's Poncho. He lives here. He's been here forever."
Poncho.
Poncho.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, he's so big. But yeah,
Poncho. Yeah.
Mexico, it was really fun.
Sounds like a
Would love
great
to go
time.
again. Yeah, love to
Wow. Do
go
you think
again.
you'll? So would you say you'll probably go
Oh
again?
yeah, yeah, for
That's
sure. Yeah,
awesome.
I would go. I would like to go to like some other places too. Like I would love to go to Cancun just because I'd like to see the pyramids and stuff out there too. But yeah, that was the thing that tripped me out about Mexico the most because from a country where we are, I mean, to this day, we still have a lot of pagan beliefs, pagan festivals, stuff like that. In Mexico, it's gone a lot Christian, a lot, but
Hmm.
history they've kept it. They haven't erased it. So, and a lot of them are very proud of it. So, I love seeing like the ancient Aztec like
That's so
symbology,
cool.
the art. It was just beautiful. Like it really tripped me out.
Man, you just reminded me of this one memory of the one time I got to go to Arizona to this
Oh
area
yeah.
called Prescott, which is kind of very mountainous and it's very beautiful. But my friend Aaron lives there, and I visited him there, and he kind of showed me where he rock climbs, and we found some like Indian arrowheads and stuff
Oh,
in the
nice.
sand. It was so cool. We went out for a night hike. Anyway, the point being, when you talked about those like pagan rituals that they would do and stuff, while Aaron and I were out there on that night hike in the desert in Arizona, we heard off in the distance this like tribal ritual being performed, dude,
Oh
by
Jesus,
Native Americans,
that's
and
crazy.
they were, it was dead silent, and it was this perfectly black night full of stars, but in the silence and in the darkness, from way off in the distance, we heard this tribal ritual
Oh,
happening of these Native Americans, just kind of doing their thing, all the stuff they do, and it was, and beating on a drum.
yeah,
Speaking of drums, I do hear the drummer in my building, but I can probably edit that out.
yeah. I can
But
hear it.
anyway, yeah, it was so cool. But yeah, so I know what you mean about like getting to witness sort of this ancient art being performed, this tribal ritual. It's like it's so transporting, and it's such a cool thing. Wait, so did you witness that happening while you were there?
No, I didn't witness anything.
Okay, you just
Just
know that they still do those things.
yeah, and I mean, I didn't see any ritual or anything like that. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is like I liked that their kind of like the history of those civilizations was preserved in the art. Even the currency, like the coin, the 10 peso coin has like symbology in the back of it. Like I think it's Aztec symbols.
Yeah.
It was very different from to like the currency that we have in Canada or in the United States for that matter. So like I really enjoyed that part of it. Like I like that they kept their kind of like their heritage and their culture like
And it
alive.
sounds like it felt genuine, like it felt sort of ingrained in their culture as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to being this sort of false facade to lure
correct.
tourism.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
that's
It
cool.
it didn't seem like they were trying to like, just put it out there so that tourists feel like happy about it. I'm sure some people
Yeah.
listening to this will might disagree with me, but uh at least when I was driving around as well, like we drove around a little bit in the town and everything, and yeah, there was the guy who drove us around was just telling us a lot about like the low, like how things have changed in Mexico recently. How they're trying to like the new government is less corrupt, all kinds of things. So I was like, I got a great like local experience, plus also got to enjoy myself at the resort a little bit.
That
Um,
sounds awesome. What would
yeah.
you say were your top two or three, let's say your top two favorite things that you did or saw while you were there on that vacation?
Well, the wildlife was probably my favorite thing.
Nice.
Just seeing. I love me. I love seeing any kind of wildlife for that matter, except for
Yep.
rattlesnakes. So no, I'm happy I didn't see one. Although they are there, from what I've heard, like
Oh,
they
they
are.
are.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There are a lot of
That
rattlesnakes
makes
apparently
sense. I
there.
mean, that makes total sense now that
Yeah,
I
it's
think
it's
about it.
it's perfect for
It's
them.
the
Like it's
desert,
really
basically.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Arid.
and also, but I love the food. The food out there was so good.
Nice.
Like
I bet.
I love Mexican
I
food.
love Mexican food. I know you like it too.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and it's like it's something about like I don't know, like it's something so small like cilantro, which we use a lot in cooking as well in India.
In India.
So when I'm out here, like I this just when we got back, we bought some cilantro in Mexico, and I got some back. And just today, I was telling my wife, I was like, check out the cilantro we get here, and check out this Mexican cilantro. The cilantro we get here, perfect. It looks beautiful, like picture perfect. Like it looks like something out of a textbook of how cilantro is supposed to look. The Mexican one, it's kind of like it's a little withered. It doesn't look
Huh.
as appetizing, but the taste of it,
Huh.
it's like amazing, and
Wow.
it's how things are in India. Like things don't look textbook beautiful, but they taste so good. It's something I think, I don't know if it's the climate, the temperature, how they're grown, pesticide
Yep.
use, what you want to call it, but clear difference
Well,
and
dude, I mean,
noticeable
think about it.
difference.
It's all got to be like local stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
locally,
yes.
locally sourced, and
Hmm.
that food, Mexican food, like it comes from Mexico. So if
Yeah,
you're in Mexico, that's the source. I mean, that's where those ingredients they grow best, right there.
yeah,
I guess, or at least not too far from there. I would imagine.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't know what like in Cabo, like what they can grow. We were There was a little garden on the resort too. We checked it out. They were growing like peppers. They were growing some. They were growing what? They were growing. They were growing like not cilantro, mint, rosemary, those kind of things. I didn't see cilantro though, so I don't know. But I'm sure if they can grow that there, there's probably a way. There were a lot of coconut trees too, which I love because where
I
I come from
love
in India, we
those.
get a lot of coconut. We have a
Oh,
lot of coconut
cool.
trees too.
Have you
Yeah.
ever tried to climb a coconut tree?
No, never.
I'm
It's
surprised you haven't, and
yeah,
I'm surprised that I. Well, actually, I might have at one time. There's a hazy memory of
yeah.
something, but I also kind of get it because it's probably really hard.
Yeah, I think you definitely like even the guys in India who climb coconut trees, they don't do it just by themselves. They have like a
Okay.
belt that goes around it to like hold them for support.
Oh
Because
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
because
They
then it's
do.
not really easy to grip. Like it doesn't have a lot of grooves and ridges. It's
Yeah,
can be kind of smooth in many ways. So you have
but
to
you're
be
right. But
really
they'll
good.
shimmy right up that
Hmm.
thing with that belt. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
have now
yeah,
that you mention it, I've seen that they grip it with the belt and they just go right up.
yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
that sounds like an amazing trip, dude.
Yeah, yes, yes, it was great time. To anybody who wants to go to Cabo, highly recommended. Don't be scared. Don't be skittish about it. We were, but it's
And
very
so it's totally safe for families. Like for
yeah.
you wouldn't worry about Megha taking a stroll anywhere or
No,
anything.
no, no. I mean, we
Yeah,
we were in like I said, we were on like in a resort,
that's
and
true.
where we were, like it's not the only resort. Like when we from our resort to the airport, like you will across like at least like 5 to 10 other resorts of all different kind of like like luxury levels. So like there's plenty of options. And also like Cabo is, you will see a lot of Canadians and Americans who actually live out there, because it's like your money goes way further in Mexico. So a lot of people actually own property and live out there too, for like
Yeah.
part of the year. Um, so yeah, it's like very tourist friendly. So yeah, if you guys are, anybody's thinking about it, like don't worry, just go. Best time to go is, I think, probably between December and April, because you get to get away from the cold of North America. I mean North America, and also you get to see whales in the ocean. So if that's something you want to do,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah,
I would love
pull
to
the
go.
trigger.
Should talk to
Yeah.
Zashi about it. I wonder if she would want it. I wonder if she wants to go to Cabo. I'll have to ask her about it. That sounds like an
Yeah.
awesome trip.
Yeah,
I
some of them are
enjoy hearing
dog
about it.
friendly too, like some resorts are, so
Oh yeah,
you can
that's definitely a
take your
thing for
dog.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm sure, yeah, with Freddie, but I'm sure some of them are. But by the way, how are we doing on time?
We're at about hour and 28 minutes. We wrapped the last one at 55, so
Okay, that's
we're about
perfect.
35 minutes into this one. Yeah, I can stay for like 20 more minutes. That way we
Okay,
can.
perfect. Just want to shift gears just a little bit
Sure.
to bring up music. We touched on music
Yep.
last time in our last episode, and had actually, I think, a cool discussion about some Metallica, and then in the previous episode, we touched on the song "Riders on the Storm"
Oh
by
yeah.
The Doors.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
I think that was my song of the day choice for one of our episodes, of our recent episodes. And I think you had said that you wanted to touch on it again because it's such a cool song and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up the Doors because I know we wanted to have a section of our show called Questions.
Yep.
And so I have a question to pose, and I'd like to get your input on it and see what you think. And this is a question I've asked myself numerous times over the years, at least in my mind, and wondered about. So we all know Jim Morrison is the lead singer of The Doors,
Yeah.
more or less became the prototype for what a rock star looks like and acts like
Right.
for decades to come. What would Jim Morrison have done if he hadn't been in The Doors?
Oh.
And that, by the way, is implying that that if he had not died at 27,
Yeah.
so if he had lived past 27 and if he had never been inducted into The Doors or had never been been in The Doors, what would he have done? And I did a little bit of light research into that question, and first thing I did, I just typed it into Google to see what would come up.
Yeah.
The first thing Google said was, if Jim Morrison hadn't been in The Doors, he likely would have pursued a career as a poet, author, or filmmaker. He expressed a strong desire to leave the music business to focus on writing and film, planning to move away from his rock star persona in the early 70s. So that's definitely something to consider in trying to answer that question.
Yeah.
Um, what are some thoughts that pop into your head when I ask that question?
I was pretty much. I think Google's got it spot on. I was also going to go. My first thing was poet because I know he liked to write a lot.
Yeah, I think he
Um,
published a book of poetry at one point.
yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, I didn't. I was not thinking filmmaker. I was going to think more like an actor. But yeah, I guess filmmaker makes sense. But yeah, I could also see him like, yeah, just like becoming one of those like secluded artists, or um yeah,
Yeah,
he or like, I also wouldn't put it past him to just be a guy who like, you know, just lives out in like nature and just kind of like either like, just travels, like couch surfs a lot, like one of those guys who, those people who like, almost like the guy from, maybe not as much as the guy from Into the Wild, but like somebody who just is like likes enjoys his freedom, doesn't like,
Yes.
being tied to like a job, just but like drifts around, does random work, but travels, sees the world, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. If that's your calling, you have a short lifespan. If that's how you want to spend it, that's on you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't put it. That's what I was thinking. But I think Google, that's a pretty good answer from in my view.
Yeah, I think in broad terms it is a pretty good answer, and I think your answer is a pretty good one. I do think, broadly speaking, he would have been in some form of creative career. I can't personally see him as an actor. I just, it's like there are some musicians who can kind of make that cross that bridge. For some reason, I don't see him being that.
Yep.
Even though he was like a good-looking guy and he, this and that. I mean, for one thing, he got overweight and his health wasn't great. He wasn't super health-minded, and that's going to be a tough thing in an acting career where it has a lot to do with your looks. I mean, if he's going to get fat at 27,
Yeah.
if he's going to be puffy at 27, what's he going to look like at 40? And are people going to want to watch him on screen? So that's one thing. But I don't know if he had acting talent or not. He might have. I'm not sure. But yeah, I know. But you're right. He had an interest in film because he was in film school, I think at UCLA maybe, when he met Ray Manzarek, the other founding member of the Doors, the keyboard player. Ray Manzarek was in film school with him, I believe, and I know that Jim made like a film and people booed it or whatever. It was too artsy or something, and they didn't. So, but that he was very young, and that was the very beginning of his film stuff. So I mean, who knows if he hadn't joined the Doors, maybe he would have continued to hash it out with film and figure out a way to make it a career. Or but I also think there was a part of Jim that kind of wanted to be the star of things. I don't know if he would have been 100% satisfied just behind the scenes as a director of films. He might have done other stuff as well. I mean, I do, like you said, I could kind of see him doing like a lot of different kinds of jobs or a lot of different creative things. It's like, because he did do different creative things. And I could see him, publishing poetry, although I don't know if you can make a living as a poet in the modern world. So I don't know if that would have, I think he would have written poetry for sure and published poetry probably, but I don't know how many people would have read it or how much money he would have made from it. I'll say this. I think if he had not been in the Doors, my opinion is he would not have become rich, or at least certainly not so young, because they blew up and they became a pretty big band. And so he, was able to then pursue his more artsy vocations, his more artsy interests of publishing poetry and so forth. And plus, a lot of more people would read it because he's a rock star. Yeah. He's famous. So I think the Doors gave him that platform. So it's like if he had never been in the Doors, I think he would have published poetry and published books. How much money would he have made and how huge of a name would he have been? It's very hard to say. But I think I do think he would have done some things of artistic note or importance, but the question of how commercially successful it would have been is kind of a different one. And I think, to me, Jim Morrison seems like the type who wasn't really supposed to be a star or a commercially, just because he was kind of too bizarre or kind of out there. I think maybe it was just the right timing and he was in the Doors and things came together, but it's like he's not a typical sort of debonair star. I mean, he's not a typical someone that you think is going to get rich. He just doesn't. So it's hard for me to imagine him getting rich without the Doors, but I do think he would have been an artist. I think he would have, but I do think, because for a long time when I would ask myself that question, I kind of thought he would be like, he would just be this druggy bum, if he hadn't met the Doors. But I don't really think that per se, because he, I think, did decently in school. He was able to show up for things to some extent.
Mm.
I mean, they put out a few records. You know, he was reliable to an extent. I'm sure it got much less so once drugs got heavier. And so you could say, oh, he would have been this druggy bum. But my argument to that is actually, I think that the only reason he got so into drugs was because of the fame and that he had from being in the Doors. I think that once he got famous, especially so young, because when you're that age, your judgment is worse anyway. When you get famous that young, I think you're not really ready to be mature about it. Yeah. And I think that with the money and the access he gained, he was able to buy a lot more drugs and do a lot and drink more. This was what another thing I saw on Google. Somebody said, before forming the Doors, Morrison spent months on a rooftop in Venice Beach in 1965, living simply on canned beans and LSD. Right. So, you know, you could argue that even before the Doors, he was dabbling in drugs, but I don't think it was nearly as heavy and consuming as it became after their fame. Right. And I mean, let's face it, almost everybody dabbled in drugs at that time, you know, with LSD and stuff.
I was going to say, like, there was a big counterculture thing happening at that time. Like, there was an active, like, friction between, like, people who were, like, you know, put on your suit and tie, go get a job, you know, buy a house, have a kid, do things with yourself, kind of thing. Like, and then there was the counterculture, which was like young people who were rejecting that whole thing, and they were like, they were more like, you know, it's important to be free, it's important to love like nature. It's not important to participate in this capitalist thing that we're doing. And
right.
You know, like let's like, what the hell are we doing in Vietnam? And you know, at the same time, like, I think the whole communist thing was pretty strong in America. So like, it was adding a lot of like divide between two different thought, streams of thought. You know, so for him, like, probably, like, I would say, like, Jim Morrison was definitely more on the counterculture side. Like, he didn't want to be kind of like, you know, pinned down into like this kind of like suit and tie kind of facade that he pretty much rejected. So
there's no way he would have been in sort of a 9-to-5 suit and tie situation, because it would just have been too much predictability for him, I think.
And like these days, like, you know, it's different because like I feel like a lot of listeners and a lot of people that I know, like we try to do two things at the same time, where we're like, I have a job, but I also have a side hustle where I'm trying to like write, do music, do something else. Like, you know, it's like you got to do that to survive. But it was different back then. Like, you know, like it was like the cost of living, the economy wasn't the pressures weren't so high that people were like, oh my God, I need to, like, you know, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be able to feed myself, you know?
Totally.
So,
I mean, you could
rent.
buy a house for a song, practically.
Yes.
For a jig.
Yeah.
But and one other little blurb I read says, in terms of his drug use, he reportedly used other substances like mescaline and amphetamines, but his heaviest substance abuse and turning to drugs as a primary escape happened after he became famous. So that's what sort of bolstered my thought that even though we think of him as this crazy, druggy, you know, out there guy, I mean, first of all, he was really young, and that's kind of what a lot of people do when they're young. And second, again, if I think it was an escape for him, especially once he was famous. I don't think he completely knew how to handle the fame. No. And Jim was an interesting one because he's very difficult to categorize and pin into a box. I mean, because I don't know, I think he felt a lot of ambiguity on a lot of fronts. I think he had that sort of inner conflict about fame, where there was part of him that loved it and part of him that resented it and resented the phoniness of the people following him. I mean, there was one concert where he yelled into the mic and said, "You're all a bunch of fucking sheep."
Yeah.
and they all
Right.
booed him.
Yeah. And don't forget, like I think when they were, even though he was famous, like I think he saw like the side of fame, which was the capitalist side of fame, where there were like people trying to manage what the band did, what they said.
Yeah,
I think
that's
there was
true.
that famous thing where they didn't want him to say, like I think they didn't want him to say the word "hi" in his performance,
Oh yeah, and
and
he said it
he
anyway.
said it anyway because he was
He
like, go to
emphasized
hell.
it.
He emphasized it, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like, I
go
don't think he
Jim.
liked that part of it, and plus, like I think there were many times where like the police who were supposed to protect him during concerts actually pepper sprayed him and stuff where he didn't really like.
Yeah, yeah, and
So yeah,
to what you as a to add to what you said about his hesitance about the capitalistic side of things, I think, and again, I think he felt a lot of ambiguity about it because I think he did revel in stardom to an
yeah,
extent
yes,
and
yeah,
the amount of attention that it brought him, but I think he also. Resented that capitalistic side sometimes, that commercial side, because I think his band behind his back or something sold one of their songs for use in a commercial or licensed it in a commercial to get money. And I think when Jim heard about it, he was really pissed. At least they depict that in the movie The Doors with Val
oh,
Kilmer.
okay, okay.
So, I mean, which is funny because today that's what every musician wants
Yeah,
is to get
aspires to,
aspires to get their music used and licensed and things.
right?
Even
Yeah,
cheesy commercials, they don't care because it's
yeah,
it's a more desperate economy. But
yeah,
yeah, so yeah, no, I think you're right about that. And I mean, look, he was kind of a complicated guy. I mean, he had, again, I think there was a lot of inner conflict, and I mean, it's kind of like the Kurt Cobain type,
yeah, yeah,
who it's that tradition of like, I'm talented and famous, but because I'm genuinely talented and feel a lot of deep feelings and wouldn't typically be the type to become this famous in the mainstream, I'm conflicted about it, and I
right.
don't know how to deal with it. So I turn to, in Jim's case, a lot of alcohol and some drugs, although apparently mostly alcohol, but or in Kurt's case, heroin. And a lot of people said that Kurt didn't have access to heroin before he got famous. He didn't have the money.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
costs money to buy drugs. And so that's part of an economic reason, part of why rock stars get into drugs after fame. So, I mean, fame can kill people. I mean, like,
yeah, yeah.
it can kill people. And I think it's more likely to kill them when they are very young and their judgment is not great.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
So,
mean, you also have the sense of invincibility when you're young, like so
right.
like you sometimes like you'll hear like a rock star who died because like he had just been up like drinking crazy all day and then like he passed out and then like he just like sometimes choked on his own like vomit. Like I think I can, at least there are two rock stars or three rock stars I can think of who died that way. And it's like, of course they didn't intend to die. It's just they were like, yeah, I'm young, I'm a rock star, I'm famous, like I'm
Yeah.
gonna party, man, like
Yeah.
we used to sometimes drink a lot without the fame, as kids, because we were like, we were young, just like
Yeah.
having fun, right?
Yeah,
So yeah.
we also thought we were famous, um, or at least fantasized.
Everyone's totally stoked on me.
Yeah, I think every young person thinks they're famous.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely invincible.
yeah,
So
but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, but then there was this one guy who said, this guy named Roger Dutton. I don't know who he is. It says he's an actor, but I haven't heard of him. But he apparently knew Ray Manzarek, and someone asked him that question apparently of what would Jim Morrison have done if he hadn't been in the Doors, and this guy Roger Dutton said, I once spent a weekend with Ray Manzarek, and I asked him this question.
okay.
So he asked Ray Manzarek this question: what would Jim have done without the Doors?
Hmm.
And Ray, apparently, according to this guy Roger, Ray said Jim would have become president of the United States. And this guy said that he doesn't really believe that would have happened because Jim was In his words, he says, Jim was too intelligent and capable to have fallen so low into the mundane, which is not the answer I expect. Most people don't think of the presidency as mundane, but I do know what he means. I mean, I don't think that Jim would have survived in such a place of structure and formality. And of course, then again, you could say Donald Trump has no structure and formality, and he's president. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, look, Jim wasn't like Donald Trump. Jim had, I think, a better heart than someone like that. And I think, although he projected an image as the Lizard King and being kind of hard and not caring about things, I think the truth was he really did care deeply and was very sensitive. And I think if he hadn't been, he wouldn't have been able to write such sensitive, thoughtful lyrics, which he did. I mean, the lyrics of The Doors, honestly, they're really beautiful and poetic, and he really had a way with words. And it's like Trump doesn't. So I think that sensitivity comes from somewhere real. I'm not to say Jim wasn't an asshole sometimes, but I just think it was a projection, and probably came from some kind of anxiety or resentment inside of him, or insecurity or something. But I think within him was a sensitive soul. But the interesting takeaway from Ray Manzarek's response is that Jim he's not just this beach bum who writes poetry. Yeah. Jim would have been president of the United States. I think what Ray probably meant was not that Jim would literally have become president, but more so that, look, Jim had more ambition than people give him credit for. He had more focus, maybe, and he knew the things he cared about and knew what he wanted to do, and he was going to go out and do stuff. And I think that's what Ray was trying to say. So that
he had ambition. Like, he wasn't like just somebody who would be okay sitting on a beach and just writing poetry all day.
Yeah,
like, he wanted
passing the days.
Yeah. I mean, because like you have to remember, like, it's not like the Doors were just like, oh yeah, they just found this guy who wrote great poetry, they recorded one song and they were huge and famous. Like, it obviously took work to write the music, to
totally
record, to tour, to perform. Like, it's not something that somebody would do if they didn't have any ambition. Like, clearly he wanted he wanted to do something, he wanted to go somewhere, and unlike Kurt Cobain, I don't think he intended to kill himself, right? Like, it was an accident.
There's debate about it, but for the most part, yeah, I really don't think that he did. I don't see Jim Morrison committing suicide. I don't really see that. It's much easier for me to see Kurt Cobain doing that with his personality. Jim, it's much harder. I think Jim thought fairly highly of himself most of the time. I don't think I don't think he beat himself up as much as Kurt Cobain did. I guess I didn't know him, so I don't know, but that's the impression I get. But again, a lot of that ego was probably coming from insecurity and a desire to prove something or win or whatever. But either way, I don't see Jim offing himself. Right. I do. General consensus is that he died of some sort of drug concoction or overdose of some kind in France. And actually, when Zashi and I were in France, we went and saw his grave. I remember you told me that. Yeah, that was really cool. In that massive graveyard there in Paris.
It's really crazy that he's buried in France.
I know.
Like, it's kind of random.
It's super random.
Because he's so associated with America, and California, and Venice.
I know.
Beach.
Well, I asked Zashi, like, why is he buried in France? And she's like, well, he died here. And I was like, yeah, I know, but why wasn't he? And she was like, you think they're going to fly that guy back to the U.S. to give him a proper burial? Like, he was a guy who, like, burned a lot of bridges. Was not to say there weren't people who loved him, because there were. And I think his bandmates loved him in their way, even though he pissed them off sometimes and drove them nuts sometimes. And not to mention, he was their entire livelihood, really. But the soul of it, at least. But Yeah, so why didn't people fly him back to the U.S.? That's a good question. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
but in Zashi's opinion, it's like that's expensive. It's not that easy to do. I mean, like, how do you get a body over to the U.S.? I don't know. I guess there's ways, but
Yeah.
maybe people, I don't know. Maybe, I know Jim was estranged from his family. He was estranged from his parents, and
Okay.
he didn't like his parents or his
Okay.
family. So
Yeah.
maybe there was no family there to kind of intervene and be like, no, we're going to bury our boy on U.S. soil. We're bringing him home. So there was
Yeah.
none of that. But yeah, that dude, he's buried in Paris. It's wild.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's usually family who like asks for his body to come back or something. Like
Yeah.
it needs like a push from somebody. And I guess yeah, that just didn't happen. Maybe they were
Yeah.
like, it's fine. Like he chose to be there, and that's where he died. So it's okay. Plus, like I mean, his grave aside, like one thing about being an artist of the of who reached the point of success like Jim Morrison is nobody remembers you when you go by going to his grave. They remember him by listening to his music and listening
Yeah.
to watching the documentary or the movie about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like can't tell you how many Jim Morrison posters I saw when I came to America. Like, with that famous poster of him. Yeah, like with without his shirt on. Just like I saw him in so many, almost every other dorm or every other like I used to go to like like
Wow.
yeah, like different stores and music stores, and there was always that poster of Jim Morrison up there. In fact, I didn't know who Jim Morrison was before I came to the US. I came to the US and I saw him and I was like, "Who is that?" And people were like, "Oh, you don't know Jim Morrison?" I was like, "No," because I mean, you have to remember, I was into way more heavy metal when I came to the US. So the Doors was definitely not as heavy as I would listen to at that time. So yeah, my first introduction to him was seeing his poster in a dorm room when I went to like yeah when I was in college, and I was like, "Who is that?" And they were like, "That's Jim Morrison," and because it was that poster, and below that was it said American poet, and I was like, "Who's that? Like, is he like what kind of
Oh,
words of his
yeah.
where can I read his work?" And they were like, "No, no, no, he's a musician. Like he's just called that because his lyrics are really good, So I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay."
My introduction to him was one time as a little kid watching our television set gathered around with the family and I think it was some ad or some snippet of a documentary or something came on the screen, and it was this long-haired dude at the microphone
Mm.
whipping his hair around and looking kind of wild, and I believe it was Jim Morrison, and I just remember saying, who is that?
Mhm.
And my dad was like, oh, it was this rock star from the 70s. Yeah, girls liked him, I think, and he just had long hair. That was about all my dad had to say about Jim Morrison. My dad doesn't like rock music, but
Yeah.
yeah, and neither does my mom. But yeah, and then I didn't revisit Jim until years later when I was in high school, and people were talking about the movie The Doors, or a couple of my buddies talked about it, and so I went and saw it, and I just became utterly captivated with the character of Jim Morrison and also their music, The Doors' music. Um, and with that movie, The Doors, I mean, Val Kilmer, I think, was so great in
Yeah,
that
he was.
movie.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, he just captured that guy's
Yeah.
friggin' like persona so well. And to cap it off, some lady on the internet named Carol said, Jim never wanted to be a rock star. He wanted to be a poet and writer. And she says, I think he would have been a great speaker or would have changed the world in some way for the better. He wanted to be taken seriously. Had he stayed away from his addictions, we would be reading his books today.
Interesting.
But it's true. He never wanted to be like a rock star. It wasn't his goal. He wanted to be like a writer and a poet. And
Mm.
it's just interesting the way some
It worked out for
icons,
him. Yeah.
yeah, it's like people don't always aim directly at the thing that ends up being the thing for them.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of a weird, I think sometimes people get too caught up in their ambitions and thinking that I don't know, like they get this idea in their head of exactly what they want to be, and they just gun for that, and they get too rigid about it and lose the forest despite the trees sometimes.
Right.
I think, I mean, I've definitely been guilty of that in some ways, but I
Yeah.
think many of us are. I mean, it's such an ambition-driven culture, or at least has been historically,
Yeah.
you know,
I
the
think you
Western
need a
world.
different mindset to become like an artist in that sense. It's a good thing to like talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
like-
So, did you have any other updates or any other like stuff on your
No.
mind, or?
I think we got some great stuff in just in
Yeah.
this episode, talking about Mexico and the Doors. Um,
Yeah.
so I think we can probably end it on this
Yeah,
one.
and
just,
to create just a vague tie-in between the two, you know, you mentioned you were talking about Mexico and some of the way they keep these sort of wilder, these more tribal rituals involved in their culture, or harken back to certain tribal roots. You know, I mean, there is something very wild and tribal about the Doors music.
Yeah, true.
There's something primitive about it, and something about that picture that you mentioned seeing on people's walls in college of Jim, that wild picture where his arms are splayed to either side and his hair is big and wild and he's shirtless and has necklaces on. Like it's a super compelling photo because it's just this. It's like a sort of modern day guy maybe, but it's something is so ancient about it.
Yeah.
And kind of, I don't know, like primitive or tribal or something. It's just, anyway. So there's a vague tie-in
There's a
for us
connection
between the
over there.
Doors and Mexico.
Yeah.
Cabo. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually interesting to think about.
Yeah,
But,
like what would they have done? You know, you could almost have a whole segment like that. Like, what would that person have done? What would have become of them if they hadn't this or that? You know.
Yeah.
It's a fun topic. I mean, we'll never know.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll never know.
We'll never
That's
know.
the thing. We'll never know.
Yeah.
No.
We'll never know what would have happened, you know, with this person or that if things had gone differently. But it is fun to muse about it sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Especially if you're like a fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
totally.
next time we can do one about Kurt Cobain. Think about
what would he have done if, you know, he hadn't been around at the time he was and the perfect storm of the grunge revolution hadn't scooped him up. That's a good one. Or, you know, where would Amy Winehouse have been if she hadn't died at 27? Like, where would the 27 Club be if they hadn't, you know, died?
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. Oh my God.
Jimi Hendrix,
he
like,
was
you know,
amazing.
because I mean, all these people, as much as they were super talented, they also were very much caught up into the whirlwind of the times they lived in.
A lot.
You know, and if you placed them in a different time or in different circumstances, they absolutely might not have ended up where they did.
Yeah, really. Yeah, if you guys want us to talk about somebody who has, and to talk about that question regarding somebody, let us know. And also, if you have thoughts about Jim Morrison, let us know, because I am curious about what somebody would think about that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Fun episode. Well, unless you have any other closing words, I guess let's give these. Actually, you're good at this. Could you give the people a little positive snippet to send them into their week on a positive note?
A positive snippet? Oh my God. Well,
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure to putting me on the spot. Yeah, no, I would say like I think any kind of something that you know you don't have to be a music fan. You don't have to be a fan of writing movies. There's definitely there is joy in everything. I think a really good way to discover joy is to find something that you truly love, whether it could be something like whittling, and just think about like the 5 things about basic principles that make that art so beautiful, or make that activity so fun to you. Think about them. Like, we do things every day, we don't think about why we enjoy them, but when you do find something, or you do have something that you enjoy, think about 5 reasons why. And I think you'll find that, you know, that joy might just leak beyond that activity and into other parts of your life. I think that's a good way. That's
That
something
is really
I'll go
cool.
with that one.
That is really cool. The interconnections between different things to
Yeah.
look for that and look for the deeper joy, because joy is a deep thing.
Yeah.
It's all encompassing. It's not just it's not a shallow thing, and it's not a
No.
quick thrill, and it's something deeper, I think.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
get joy out of something, its chances are it's coming from somewhere. So
Yeah.
thinking about those questions might actually,
Point you
point you to
towards
something. Yeah.
something important, or point you on like towards your path, or your, Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, well said.
Nice.
All right, cool. Well, have a great week, guys. Look for the
Yeah. I'm gonna
joy.
send you off with this one. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Thank you all for
Nice.
joining. And
See you next
hanging
time,
with us.
guys.
We'll see you the next time. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.